Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to call to order the Rhode Island Ethics Commission. This is our 8th meeting for 2026. The first item on the agenda is a motion to approve the minutes of the open session held on May 5th, 2026. Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Rabbit. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Callahan. Roll call vote. Commissioner Susie, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Browner.
Aye.
Mr. Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Centerini.
Aye.
Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Mr. Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is the director's report.
Good morning. So not a lot today on the director's report. I'm going to start with complaints and investigations. We have 2 complaint matters that are pending currently. The first is the Thorson case, and as you know, today you're going to finalize the decision, hopefully in that case. And then that'll go off of our agenda. The second matter is In re K. Joseph Chikarchi complaint number 2006-1, and today you're going to initially determine that complaint. Regarding advisory opinions, we have 8 pending advisory opinions right now. 3 of them are on today's agenda, so they're still coming in. Regarding APRA requests, we've had 9 formal requests since the last meeting, and we completed 8 of those on the same business day, as we try to do every time. One of them took 6 days because that was kind of a voluminous request for about 250 financial disclosure statements. We had to get some clarification. There was prepayment. Ultimately, we provided them on a flash drive, and so there was nothing issues related to that. Of those APRA requests, 6 were complaint related. 1 was related to advisory opinions, 1 related to recusals, and 1 related to financial disclosure. Speaking of financial disclosure, we're right on track where we should be with compliance. As of this morning, we are at about 94% compliance. Today, our investigators, Garrett Pacharka, instead of coming to the meeting, he's on the phone as we speak. So we're at the point now where we've already reached out to city and town clerks. We've reached out to the staffers in state offices, charter school administrators, fire districts. And now we're at the point where with 200 something non-fathers left, we're contacting people individually, personally through email and cell phones. So that's going on just fine. And as a reminder, we're going to get about 500 new financial disclosures in July after people file their notices of candidacy in June. I think this year the notices go out the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Candidates will have to file 30 days after they file their official declarations of candidacy. Even if they've declared that they're running, they're not official candidates until they file those declarations of candidacy. Then just general office administration. Our next commission meeting is later this month on June 23rd. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments for the executive director? The next item on the agenda are advisory opinions. Some sign up sheet, please. First item on the agenda is Donna Wilson. We have council present.
Good morning, everyone. The draft for this petition is at tab C in your binder. Ms. Wilson wanted to be here today. She's otherwise engaged in a graduation activity relating to her daughter's upcoming graduation from Bristol High School later this week. With us today is attorney Amy Goins in her capacity as Bristol's town solicitor. Ms. Goins assisted the petitioner with seeking this advisory opinion. Regrettably, I'll point out a typo on page 3, the first full paragraph, line 9. The word seeking should be seek, hence is indeed everything. With that, the petitioner is privately employed as the executive director of the Benjamin Church Senior Center, a nonprofit corporation located in Bristol. In May of this year, the petitioner was conditionally appointed by the Bristol Town Council to fill a vacancy on the Bristol Housing Authority Board of Directors. subject to the receipt of an advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission that the petitioner's service on the board would not violate the Code of Ethics in light of her private employment. The Housing Authority operates the Benjamin Church Manor, a senior housing complex that is located directly behind the senior center. The petitioner states that although there would be no official nexus between her private duties as the executive director of the senior center and her public duties as a member of the board of directors for the Housing Authority, there is the potential for some confusion given the close physical proximity of the two entities and the population they serve and their similar names. Ms. Wilson explains that this is the concern which led the town council to condition her appointment to the Housing Authority on the receipt of a favorable advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission. The Manor offers independent and affordable housing for eligible senior citizens for whom the Housing Authority works to ensure safety, comfort, and access to social opportunities. The Manor is located at 1014 Hope Street on 11.5 acres of land provided by the Benjamin Church Trust. The Manor has 193 apartments and is home to 220 residents. The Manor operates on federal funding and does not receive any funding from the trust beyond the original donation of the 11.5 acres of land. The Housing Authority oversees the operation and the maintenance of the Manor with the assistance of Manor staff. And the Housing Authority meets on the second Thursday evening of the months between September and June. The Senior Center is a nonprofit organization which was incorporated in 1972 for the purpose of offering programs and activities that support the independence, health, and well-being of active adults age 50 and older. The Senior Center provides meals, transportation services, and other resources to its members. The center is located at 1020 Hope Street. The petitioner has been employed by the Senior Center since 2015, first as the assistant director and as of 2023 as the center's executive director. She was hired by the Senior Center's board of directors with input from the town administrator. Neither the members of the Housing Authority nor any employees of the Manor participated in her hiring, nor do they take part in her supervision or in any matters at all related to her employment. Petitioner's hours of employment at the Senior Center are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Petitioner states that although the names of the Manor and the Senior Center are similar, and the two buildings in which they operate are in close physical proximity to one another, the two entities do operate completely independently from one another, including financially. Members of the church family own the building in which the Senior Center operates. They donate some money to the Senior Center each year to assist with the costs associated with activities sponsored by the Senior Center. The Senior Center is also funded with an annual grant from the town. It receives state grant funding as well. The Senior Center receives no funding from the Housing Authority or the Manor. The Senior Center is one of 25 such facilities in Rhode Island where any person age 50 and older can make a reservation to enjoy a meal, and Manor residents may take meals at the Senior Center, and many often do, but neither the Housing Authority nor the Manor pays for those meals. The Senior Center also offers on-site activities, off-site outings, and transportation to medical and other appointments to all persons in Bristol who are age 50 and older. A number of Manor residents participate in these offerings, but without financial assistance from either the Housing Authority or the Manor. Petitioner states that her private employment would not interfere with her public service hours, nor would she use public resources to perform her work at the Senior Center. She represents that for the 11 years that she has worked for the Senior Center, no one from the Senior Center leadership has appeared before the Housing Authority relative to the operation of the Senior Center, nor would she do so. The petitioner further represents that if she is allowed to serve as a member of the Housing Authority, in the event any matter comes before the Housing Authority that involves or would directly financially impact the Senior Center, or even a Manor resident who frequently utilizes the services of the Senior Center, she would either recuse or seek additional guidance from the Ethics Commission. Petitioner states that despite the Manor and the Senior Center sharing the Benjamin Church name, coupled with the close proximity of the buildings that house those entities, The petitioner's private work for the senior center is outside of the jurisdiction of the housing authority. The petitioner emphasizes that she would not use her public position as a member of the housing authority to solicit business or customers for the senior center. And these are the facts under which the petitioner seeks guidance from the Ethics Commission about being appointed to the housing authority. The draft identifies as relevant the secondary employment statute within the code, which is section 5B, and the conflict of interest provision at section 5A as further defined by section 7A. And section 5D prohibits the use of one's public office or confidential information achieved through holding it to obtain financial gain for both the official and in this case, her private employer. Section 5C prohibits the use and disclosure of confidential information by a public official during the course of her official duties, particularly for the purpose of financial gain. The Ethics Commission has consistently opined that persons subject to the code are not inherently prohibited from holding private employment that is secondary to their public position, provided the employment would neither impair the independence of judgment or create an interest in substantial conflict with the person's public duties, and subject to certain other restrictions. Commission looks at several factors when considering potential conflicts regarding private employment, including but not limited to, first, the nexus between the official's public duties and the desired private employment. Next, whether the person completes such other work outside of her normal public service hours without the use of public resources. Also, whether the person is required to appear before her own agency as part of her private employment. Whether the work is to be conducted outside of the areas over which the person has decision-making jurisdiction in her public capacity. And whether the person uses her public position to solicit business or customers or private work. Here, there is nothing in the facts to suggest that the work that the petitioner performs in her private capacity for the senior center would impair her independence of judgment relating to her public duties as a member of the housing authority. She states that her private employment would not interfere with her public service hours, nor would she use public resources to perform her work at the senior center. Petitioner represents that during the 11 years of her employment with the senior center, no one from that organization has appeared before the housing authority relative to the operation of the senior center, nor would she do so. And Ms. Wilson further represents that her work for the senior center is outside of the jurisdiction of the housing authority. Petitioner emphasizes she would not use her public position as a member of the housing authority to solicit business or customers for the center. Accordingly, based on the facts as represented, the applicable provisions of the Code of Ethics and prior advisory opinions issued, it is the opinion of staff that petitioner is not prohibited by the Code of Ethics from becoming a member of the housing authority and from then serving simultaneously in her private capacity for the senior center. Now, this advisory opinion can't anticipate every situation in which a conflict might arise and provides general guidance based on the facts as they are currently represented. Petitioner is advised to remain vigilant about identifying potential conflicts of interest, and as she correctly anticipates, to either recuse or seek further guidance from the commission in the future as warranted. I'm happy to answer your questions or to defer to Attorney Goins as appropriate.
Thank you. Ms. Goins, I assume I know, in fact, that you've seen the opinion
Yes,
and you've had a chance to discuss it with Ms. Rodriguez at some length, I'm sure.
yes.
Do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, we just want to thank commission staff and the commission for taking the time to get this done quickly so that Ms. Wilson, if the commission approves this, can begin service on the housing authority next week.
Any commissioners have any questions, concerns, comments, rather than Ms. Goins or Ms. Rodriguez? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by staff?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Peterson, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Susie, roll call vote, Commissioner Susie. Commissioner Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Browner. Aye. Mr. Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Centerini.
Aye.
Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Commissioner Ritchie. Aye. The chair votes aye. The next.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. The next matter on the sign-up sheet is A. Ralph Mollis. Yep, and Commissioner Callahan will be recusing from that advisory opinion. Good morning.
Morning.
Draft for Mr. Morris is at
Well,
tab
for
A.
the record, please, I don't think I have to recuse. I was not in service in town North Providence while A. Ralph Mollis was the mayor, no standing mayor, by the way. So I have no relationship with him personally. Professionally, other than the fact that, I know him, but not to the point where I'd be influenced in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you for disclosure, Commissioner Ritchie.
Technically, I think he's still my boss as a part
Good reason to recuse. Ms. Ridiculous.
Mr. Mollis is the town manager for the town of North Kingstown. He seeks an advisory opinion regarding whether the Code of Ethics prohibits his grandson's summer employment in the town's summer camp program. Mr. Mollis was appointed town manager by the North Kingstown Town Council in 2017 and has served continuously in that capacity since. He is responsible for the proper administration of all town matters. The town charter authorizes the town manager to appoint and remove town employees, and as town manager, he may authorize a department head to do so instead. The town's recreation department operates a popular and cost-efficient summer camp for resident youth ages 6 to 11. The recreation department hires local youth ages 15 and older to work as camp counselors. The camp counselors are primarily high school students and some college students who are all paid minimum wage. As explained in footnote 1 on page 1 of the draft, each camp counselor who returns for a subsequent summer receives a 25-cent increase in their hourly rate. Unless an applicant for the position of camp counselor was previously dismissed or received multiple disciplinary actions in a prior year for gross misconduct, the recreation department will hire all applicants. Due to a shortage of applicants for the camp counselor positions, there is a lengthy waiting list for camp participants. As more counselors are hired, more camp participants are accepted. Therefore, the more applicants for camp counselors that the recreation department receives, the more camp participants the recreation department can serve. Prior to the petitioner's appointment to the position of town manager 9 years ago, and consistent with the provisions in the town charter, the director of the recreation department was authorized to operate the summer camp and assume all responsibilities associated with it without the involvement of the town manager. This includes, but is not limited to, creating the advertisement for the position of camp counselor, conducting all of the interviews, making all of the decisions on the hiring of the camp counselors, and addressing and resolving any incidents involving camp counselors which may require discipline. Petitioner states that the recreation director's autonomy regarding the summer camp program continues today. The petitioner's 16-year-old grandson is a sophomore at North Kingstown High School and would like to work as camp counselor within the town's summer program this summer. Mr. Mollis states that he, in his capacity as town manager, would not be supervising or participating in the supervision of his grandson, nor would his grandson be afforded any preferential treatment in terms of pay, assignment, period of employment that is not provided to every other applicant. Cognizant of the Code of Ethics, desirous of acting in conformance therewith, Mr. Mollis seeks guidance from the Ethics Commission today regarding whether the code prohibits the summer employment of his grandson in the town's summer camp program. Looking now to the code, section 5A, as further defined by section 7A, prohibits the petitioner from taking action in his official capacity that would directly financially impact his grandson. Section 5D further prohibits the petitioner from using his public position to obtain financial gain for his grandson. The catch-all provision contained in regulation 1.3.1, which addresses nepotism, prohibits the petitioner from participating in any matter as part of his public duties if his grandson will be financially impacted or will obtain an employment advantage by virtue of the petitioner's participation. More specifically, regulation 1.3.1, section B2, prohibits Mr. Mollis from participating in the supervision, evaluation, appointment, classification, promotion, transfer, or discipline of his grandson. Through a long line of prior advisory opinions, the Ethics Commission has declined to adopt a blanket or absolute prohibition against one family member serving in a department, agency, or even municipality in which another family member has supervisory responsibilities. Rather, the commission makes a determination on a case-by-case basis and has generally taken the position that a public official or employee serving in a supervisory capacity will satisfy the code's requirements by recusing from participation in matters directly affecting their family member. One such determination was made at the request of Mr. Mollis. In the year 2000, the petitioner, who was then the mayor of North Providence, sought advice from the Ethics Commission through the town solicitor regarding whether the petitioner's son could participate in a summer program in which youths were hired to assist various municipal departments under the direction of mayoral employees. And as fate would have it, I believe it is your grandson's dad.
Yes, it is.
So, here we are. The family has a flair for public service and a commitment to it. There, the town had sponsored the summer program for the past 15 years, and every applicant between the ages of 14 and 18 was hired to assist one of the town's departments, but primarily the recreation department. The applications were reviewed by the town's planning director, but the youths that were hired worked under the direct control of a particular department head, and youth over the age of 16. Any youth over the age of 16 was eligible to work for the town's recreation director. The recreation director and the department heads were appointed by the mayor and worked under his direction. However, with the exception of ceremonial activities, the mayor did not take any active role in the summer program. The commission opined at the time that the Code of Ethics did not prohibit the petitioner's son from being hired for the town's summer program, provided the following three things. First, all applicants had to be accepted into the program. Next, the petitioner did not supervise or in any way participate in the supervision of the youths in the program. And finally, the petitioner's son was not afforded any preferential treatment in terms of pay, assignment, or period of employment that was not provided to every other applicant in the program. The draft cites two similar AOs from the same time period with similar outcomes, as well as an advisory opinion from 2012 with a different outcome, specifically where not all applicants would have been hired for the intern position at the Rhode Island Department of Health. Here, Mr. Mollis has no reason to believe or expect that his grandson would be directly financially impacted by reason of the petitioner's activity as town manager. The selection of summer camp counselors in North Kingstown is the sole responsibility of the recreation director, who accepts all eligible applicants. Further, the petitioner would not be using his public position to obtain financial gain for his grandson, because once again, all applicants are accepted outside of the exceptions referenced in the draft. And the camp counselors are compensated with minimum wage. They get 25 cents for each subsequent year that they return. Additionally, the facts as represented do not implicate Regulation 1.3.1's nepotism provisions, because the petitioner's grandson would not be obtaining an employment advantage by virtue of the petitioner's participation in his selection as a camp counselor, nor would the petitioner participate in the supervision, evaluation, appointment, classification, promotion, transfer, or discipline of his grandson. The petitioner is not delegating such tasks to the recreation director as his subordinate. To avoid doing it himself, the recreation director has assumed complete responsibility for all aspects of the summer camp program since well before the petitioner accepted his current role. Accordingly, based on the facts as represented, the relevant provisions of the Code of Ethics, and consistent with prior advisory opinions issued, it is the opinion of staff that the Code of Ethics does not prohibit the petitioner's grandson's summer employment in the town's summer camp program. Petitioner is advised, however, that if any of the facts change or any circumstances arise that may present a conflict of interest to his grandson's temporary summer employment, including but not limited to the opportunity to be selected by the recreation director for a leadership position, which is not eligible this summer, or a disciplinary matter for which the recreation director seeks assistance from a superior, he is advised to seek further guidance from the Ethics Commission. I'm happy to answer your questions or to defer to Mr. Mollis as you see fit.
Thank you, Ms. Radicius. Mr. Mollis, I know our staff well, so you've had an opportunity to review this decision before you came.
Yes,
Work with Ms. Radicius to get that opinion completed.
yes.
Do you have any questions, concerns, comments to the commission?
I don't. I want to thank staff and the commission for their work on this and their consideration. And I do appreciate that. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Members of the commission, anyone have any questions for either Mr. Mollis or for Ms. Radicius? Is there a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by the staff? Second by Commissioner Browner, a second by Commissioner Rabideau. A roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Peterson. Mr. Browner. Aye. Commissioner Callahan is recused. Commissioner Centarini.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabideau.
Aye.
Mr. Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming in. We appreciate the public service of you and the rest of your family.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Yes.
Last item on the advisory opinion agenda is J. Clement Cicilline, a member of the Newport Canvassing Authority.
This draft, good morning, commissioners. This draft advisory opinion is in the tab B in the binders. Mr. Cicilline is not here today. My last communication from him was prior to completing the draft. And he asked to, for the draft to be considered on June 2nd. He has a canvassing authority meeting today at 11:30, and he said that he'll try to attend if the respective schedules allow. I had prior communications with him, informing him of what the staff's recommendation is going to be. I don't think he agreed with the restrictions that I was proposing in the draft. However, given his last communication, his last email, I would recommend we go forward with the presentation.
Well, Ms. Papa, is it your understanding from your conversation with Mr. Cicilline that he wants us to go forward, or is it your understanding that he simply didn't respond?
His email, so the last time we communicated, the advisory opinion was almost withdrawn due to being moved at that time. After that, he sent me the email stating that he would like the request to be reviewed on June 2nd.
Do you know when the event that he's talking about is to occur?
I believe mid-June.
So it's no immediate time pressure.
Mm.
Well, no, we would
There
not have
is.
another meeting, we would not have another meeting before that.
Correct, and he was concerned that even June, during our first conversation, he was concerned that even June 2nd was a little bit late than he wished to, for the advisory.
Any commissioners have any concern about going forward on this morning?
I did try to contact him twice. I left voicemails after the draft was sent out to him.
Any commissioner have any concern about going forward this morning? All right, then we will go forward on Mr. Cicilline's request for an advisory opinion. Thank you for your information, Ms. Papa, and podium is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Cicilline is a member of the Newport Canvassing Authority, and he requests an advisory opinion regarding whether the Code of Ethics prohibits him from serving in his private capacity as a member of a host committee that will conduct fundraising activities on behalf of and organize a reception in honor of a congressional candidate. The Canvassing Authority is comprised of 3 sitting and 2 alternate members. It is charged with conducting all elections in the city of Newport and is involved in all phases of the electoral process, from voter registration to in the end tallying the results. The petitioner states that the Canvassing Authority is supported by 2 full-time employees hired by the city manager, but during the election days, there are a number of temporary poll workers. He has been asked in his private capacity to serve as a member of a host committee that will conduct fundraising activities on behalf of Congressman, which includes organizing a reception in honor of the congressman that will be held in mid-June. The petitioner states that as a member of the host committee, he will be part of Congressman Amos' campaign team, but that the extent of his participation would be limited to the inclusion of his name on fundraising materials, soliciting campaign contributions, and inviting people to attend the reception. Given this set of facts, the petitioner seeks guidance on whether he's prohibited by the code from being a member of that host committee. On page 2 of the draft, I have listed a number of code provisions, including the conflict of interest provisions of sections 5 and 7A, the prohibitions of use of public office and confidential information received through his public office, financial gain, and the prohibitions on transactions with subordinates. While these provisions of the Code of Ethics serve to regulate the reputational interaction between the petitioner's public and private duties, these provisions do not bar the simultaneous endeavor, provided the requirements of the Code of Ethics are followed. I have listed several advisory opinions on page 3 of the draft. One of those opinions is advisory opinion 2001-64. There, the Ethics Commission opined that a member of the One Circuit Board of Canvassers could manage a mayoral campaign in his private capacity while serving on the Board of Canvassers. But was required to recuse from participation in matters relating to or affecting that candidate, other mayoral candidates, and or the mayoral election. Here, should the petitioner choose to become part of congressional candidates fundraising team and solicit funds on behalf of the candidate, the petitioner will become the candidate's business associates, because they will be joined together to achieve a common financial objective. For that reason, and consistent with the advice given in cited prior advisory opinions, the petitioner will be required to recuse from participation in canvassing authorities' discussions and decision-making in matters relating to or affecting the candidate, his opponents, and the congressional election. Such matters may include, but are not limited, those related to the nomination papers, certifying the results, and the like. Additionally, the petitioner is prohibited from soliciting political or campaign contributions from his subordinates. Those subordinates would include those 2 full-time employees of the canvassing authority. I have listed again several advisory opinions in the draft, and one of those is 2006-41. There, the Ethics Commission finds that the Director of Municipal and External Affairs in the Office of the Governor was not prohibited from serving as the honorary chair of the Kucheri Governor Committee, which was Governor Kucheri's primary re-election political committee. Provided, however, that among other things, the petitioner did not solicit her subordinates to purchase fundraising tickets and or make other political contributions on behalf of that committee. Accordingly, based on the petitioner's representations, the prior advisory opinions, it is the opinion of the staff that the petitioner is not prohibited from serving as a member of the host committee. However, to summarize, he will be prohibited from participating in any canvassing authority discussions and decision-making relative to that congressional candidate, his opponents on the congressional election. And further, he will be prohibited from soliciting his subordinates for campaign contributions. Finally, all campaign work by the petitioner must be performed on his own time without use of public resources. Because the advisory opinion provides only general guidance as to the application of the Code of Ethics. If anything additional occurs that is not covered by this advisory opinion, the petitioner is advised to seek further guidance. Happy to answer any questions if they have at this time.
Since
I defer.
I'd like to ask a question first. You indicated that Mr. Cicilline had concerns and problems with this opinion. Could you tell us what his concerns and problems were, please? If you know them.
I believe his restrictions were mostly, his concerns were mostly with regards to the restrictions. I believe he addressed freedom of speech. And the fact that the canvassing authority is bipartisan. And he should be allowed to participate in the campaign, which he is allowed to participate in the campaign, but then he would have some restrictions on the other end.
Thank you. Any
I
commissioners have
defer
questions?
to Commissioner Callahan.
This may be more, perhaps a general question. So when we when we say additionally, the petitioner is prohibited from soliciting political campaign contributions from his subordinates. Do we ever caution about accepting campaign contributions from subordinates? Is that implied, or, I mean, I assume it's implied, but we never seem to kind of put that in writing, and I don't know if that should or should not.
So the code does not prohibit the constitutional right of the subordinate to contribute to that campaign. It's just, the superior should not be asking for it too.
I get that part. So, but do we not, I guess we don't have an opinion about what that in terms of, well, maybe that's for another time. All right.
Commissioner Center.
Was any consideration given to the comedy case, which was the premier case dealing with the code of ethics, the willful and knowing violation standard? But comedy was joined with the Ruby case. And why I know, because I represented Ruby. And in there, you'll see what the duties generally were back then, which I remember, which I believe is still the same today. It's there's Republican members usually and Democratic members. The role of the Board of Canvassers primarily is to certify the appropriate number of signatures for a candidate who is seeking to run for a political office. Historically, they certify Democrats and Republicans, irregardless of what party affiliation they have. Now, one of the Ruby certified the papers for eligibility of the number of signatures. Historically, the other two people were Democrats, men, they worked. She was a homemaker, so she carried the bulk of the load on the certifications. And part of her duties were to certify the papers. Well, at the end, though, she certified her own papers. That was the problem. Now, I'm not sure whether the opinion as it presently, draft opinion as it presently is worded, does that preclude Mr. Cicilline from certifying papers of the party that he represents?
Only with regards to the congressman in the congressional election.
Why?
Because if he is on the campaign and soliciting funds on behalf of that congressman, they become business associates. If he was just a member of the party without campaigning for the congressman and soliciting funds, there will be no problem. He will not be restricted from certifying those papers at that time.
They're gonna knock out probably a lot of the Board of Canvassers if you follow this.
As I understand the advisory opinion, he is not prohibited from being on the host committee of this event for Congressman Ammo. He can do that. But if he were to actively start becoming a campaign fund solicitor, become a business associate, and in that case, he'd be prohibited from doing these various activities. But there's no indication he's going to do that. Right now, he's just asking, can I be on the host committee for this party?
Correct, and him being on the host committee, he said that his name will be used to be put on the campaign papers.
Right.
He will not, he
You've all got an
represented
invitation, come to this clam bake, these are the hosts, this is the suggested contribution.
he represented that he will not himself print them out and send them out. His name will be used, and then the people who are working on it will be completing them. May I go back to Commissioner Callahan's
Of course.
question? On page 2 of the draft, we have indicated that, the last full paragraph halfway through it says this regulation, however, does not prohibit or limit the First Amendment rights of a subordinate to make political contributions.
I have a question. Mr. Rich, just remind me one.
No, I understand. Thank you.
If there's ever been a living example of the appearance that's been propriety, this is it. I don't see how, in any way, shape, or form, someone serving on a board of canvassers, forget the fact there's bipartisan, and that's no bearing on this, can present himself or herself in a capacity that's supporting openly the candidacy of someone in that community. The public has to look at this and say, well, gee, is he favoring this person? Yeah, he is, but he's on the board of canvassers, the very same board that's going to certify the candidacy. Now, I have had many experiences in the Board of Elections, arguing for and against, and I can tell you that the issue of signature, correctness of signature, so on and so forth, that comes up. I just feel that in this situation, it would be really a conflict for Mr. Cicilline to be an active supporter of Congressman Amos, Amo, probably be my congressman, or a good congressman, by the way. I just find it to be important.
Mr. Rabbit.
So I served on the Board of Canvassers in the town of Burville.
I
Yeah,
love when you come with your. Expertise in this.
What I want to know is what board has he not served on? And he's leaving us effective today. Heading to the CRMC.
so. Commissioner Ritchie, you're right, kind of. I was on the Board of Canvassers for the town of Burville, but I was also on the Burville Republican Town Committee. Right? They're looking for candidates to fill, as Judge Narini pointed out, to fill those slots. There has to be so many Democrats, so many Republicans on the Board of Canvassers. But it makes a difference as soon as you are a campaign manager for a specific candidate. Our chair at the Board of Canvassers, number one, highly recommended that we didn't get involved with that, but she couldn't tell us we couldn't. But when the certification of those names comes up for that person, you are obligated to recuse. Yeah, and I agree with this advisory opinion as drafted. I don't think you take away the right of the person on the Board of Canvassers to be able to petition for a candidate that they're strongly in favor of. But when those signatures come up, not just for that candidate, but for anyone running for that position, you do need to recuse.
But on that point, and I tend to agree with you somewhat. You still.
You're gonna miss me, you know.
You still have. We don't leave you. We're gonna miss you, brother. The bottom line is, though, the appearance of impropriety is glaring. It's glaring. It's just, you can't avoid that.
But the appearance of impropriety doesn't,
Whether the accusers or not, the fact that his name is on brochure, the fact that he's soliciting this, and the other. The public looks at that and say, wow, the member of the Board of Canvassers thinks that Councilman Inman is the right person. That's not right.
Wait, are you suggesting that Board of Canvass members can't say out loud which candidate they support?
Absolutely, I suggesting that.
No,
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
I think it's an appearance of impropriety, and is putting it in undue, it's giving an undue advantage to the particular candidate in hand. Board of Canvassers, elections, you should be able to separate that from your own personal feelings. My opinion.
Isn't the Board of Canvassers created by state statute for all these municipalities?
The format is, I believe.
Yeah, no, every town, every city and town devises their own Board of Canvassers.
No, but the authority of the.
Oh, the authority.
They're carrying,
The State Board of Elections oversees the Board of Canvassers in each community.
and doesn't the state law establish the duties of the individual members of the Board of Canvassers.
Don't know that.
Well,
I know that each city and town does. I don't know what, if there's an overriding, there's an umbrella on the state level, it may be, but what difference does that make? You still have the appearance of impropriety.
The appearance of impropriety does not rise to the level of a violation of the code of ethics.
I understand that, but we can decide here today that we can recommend to Mr. Cicilline that he does not participate.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
That,
Not as a matter of appearance of impropriety,
Why not?
because we decided that in the case of Anastasia Williams, that it was inappropriate for us to be finding appearance of impropriety when we don't have authority to do anything about it.
He's requesting it.
No, he's requesting an advisory opinion.
He's skirting it, his language, he knows there's a problem. He's coming here for escape, he's coming here for a license to proceed in a manner that's going to be presented to the public as an appearance of impropriety.
That you believe, and I appreciate your belief that it's an appearance of impropriety. That's not our job.
Well, I disagree.
Well, that's fine.
I-
You're allowed to disagree. I want to ask a question. If I understand your opinion, if he goes ahead and does this, he's completely prohibited from participating in any case
yeah,
involving the congressional primary or the election. Assuming Congressman Amo is renominated, right? He can't do anything on the congressional campaign of any kind
Correct.
once there's Amo versus anybody else, right? And I want to ask Commissioner Rabideau, beyond approving the signatures on nomination papers, does a local board of canvassers have any other role?
Well, the local board of canvassers is responsible for running the election in town. So the board of canvasser, you know, I know in our community, we each were assigned one of the polling places and we were available to answer any questions of staff that needed to go to a member of the board of canvassers. But other than, you know, that's process, right? That's making sure that the wheels turn properly. The only thing that I saw when reading this was certification of the names.
The other thing the Board of Canvassers can do is in a tight election, they're gonna count the mail ballots.
Oh, that is true.
The mail ballots are certified at the Board of Elections.
So every board of canvassers has so many members and so many alternates. So Mr. Cicilline would need to recuse and an alternate would need to step in at that point. If that were the case, and they have to count the mail.
I think the chair made a.
For that election only, for that, you know. Well, yeah, you're gonna count all the mail ballots. You'd have to recuse.
I thought you made an excellent point. He will have an opponent, a Republican opponent. Not necessarily a primary, Republican opponent, and there they come again with the appearance of impropriety. That's what I'm saying.
I understand.
Well, I understand, you raise.
Hope you understand my point.
I do, to an extent, we can do it now. We're not bound by precedent in that situation, every case by case.
But again, Commissioner, appearance of impropriety is not our role.
Make it our role.
We're
We
not-
can do it. We're not prohibited from making it our role.
Commissioner, we
We're not
decided
prohibited
that,
from making it our role.
Commissioner Ritchie, we are.
No, we're not.
could I just
Commissioner
ask
Cecil, yes, please.
through the chair?
There's nothing in the rules that say
Okay,
that.
Commissioner
Go
Ritchie.
ahead.
Of the almost departed commission. I don't mean it in that way.
Dearly departed.
Am I correct that state law, as you understand it, defines and establishes the duties of the board of canvassers?
As I understand it, yes, our town's duties and responsibilities are guided by state law.
And part of that law requires representation of Democrats and Republicans, depending on, I think, who's the majority
Correct.
office holders in town, right?
Correct.
And so that my question is, if, I don't think the state law was considered, if the state law authorizes A, B, C, and D, I have some difficulty saying where the code specifically would require recusal on fulfilling a certain duty unless it was the person himself, according to the Supreme Court. I know that we don't always like to follow the Supreme Court, but
We do our best.
that's a question I have.
Want to add to that question, how about a primary? What if Congressman Amos has a
He
primary?
does.
Oh, he's
Why-
That's what
certified.
they're asking about.
A primary in the situation where the question of the ballots, the question of the signatures per ballot, not Republican, I can have it both ways. In other words, Cicilline being on board of canvases in the primary function now, wants to proceed. If the board says that you can go ahead and proceed, fine, that's all well and good. Now we have a Republican candidate against, same situation. Are you suggesting there's a difference between the two?
You can't participate in either.
No, I'm asking, are you suggesting there's a difference between the two by
Can
state
you,
law?
can you go over that again? I missed your question.
Are you suggesting that the fact that we have a primary opponent? We know if it's a certified primary opponent at the stage, it is too little, we don't know that. Is there any difference between that? Or a Republican opponent? Based upon the configuration of the board, Democrat, Republican, Independent? You see that as any difference, or you see it the same?
Tell you the truth, Hugo, I'm not following you.
What he's saying is, if I understand it right, that we're apparently only looking at a primary right now. So that's 2 Democrats, or 3, or 4. And that when the general comes around, it's gonna be Republican and a Democrat. And one may be AMO. And if it's not AMO, then this is all a pig in a poke, so to speak. But I think you're asking, can he, if this rule applies to the primary, can he participate in the decisions when it's the general? Right?
Or vice versa?
Well, my point before was, he's completely prohibited from doing anything involving Congressman Amo if he's the one who's nominated, period. Anything, general, primary.
But it's got to get to that stage. The primary gets into the nomination stage.
Right.
What,
Is
It's
your
not-
point,
it's
Commissioner, that
continuing
you think it's too broad, the prohibition's too broad,
No.
to just apply the primary, or you think it should?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all.
Oh, okay,
I'm suggesting to Commissioner Ritchie that it is broad.
yeah,
I still stand by my opinion that this all can be avoided by him not being a vocal public supporter of a candidate.
Mr. Chairman.
With his jurisdiction that oversees that candidate.
And Commissioner Ritchie, I might agree with you about what the wisdom would be for him, but that's not what we're ruling on or considering. It's not his wisdom. It's whether he would violate the code of ethics.
He does.
What you do, and you'll have your right to say that when we vote on the opinion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Just-
Commissioner Rabideau.
You submit your papers once. Whether you have a primary or you go right to the general, you submit one set of papers and they have to be certified. And what we're saying here, as I understand it, is Mr. Cicilline will have to recuse when it comes to the papers, certification of the papers of anyone running for the first district congressional seat.
Primary
Now-
and election.
You submit your papers once.
No, 2 different candidates now. 2 different candidates, you have a Democrat in the primary and Republican in the general election. That's 2 sets of papers.
And you submit them once. You're only doing it one time.
Yes, and when, yes.
The deadline for
But there's no-
submission is what?
Well,
June whatever.
June 27th, June 26th. whatever the case
So,
may be.
so the Board of Canvassers, let me finish, the Board of Canvassers will review the Democrats and the Republicans, and if there are 2 Democrats, they're gonna be, for that seat. He's gonna have to recuse from both the Democrats and the Republicans, a certification of those papers.
2 separate processes of certification go on. One for the primary, one for the election.
It
Yes,
does.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of any disputes during the primary process, That's different from what's gonna happen in the Republic, in the general process. There are two different times the Cicilline is gonna have to rule on this case.
I don't agree with you.
Well,
You,
Bail balance is one example.
I will tell you, if there's a paper ballot count, otherwise, it's all machine, it's all done by machine, you wouldn't have any conflicts.
Disputes over the warrants of the poll taker, all that comes into play twice.
All right.
Anyway.
Commissioner Callahan.
So I would move to call question on the advisory. It's here. I would make a motion to approve the advisory opinion.
I'll second it.
I want to read the motion as normal made, but your motion is a motion to approve and issue the advisory opinion as presented by the staff. Your motion. This is motion by Commissioner Callahan, second by Commissioner Rabideau. A roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Aye.
Mr. Browner.
Aye.
Mr. Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Centerini.
All right,
Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Mr. Ritchie.
No.
And the chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda. Thank you, Ms. Papa. Next item on the agenda is whether there's a motion to go into executive session to wit. A motion to approve the minutes of the executive session held on May 5, 2026 pursuant to RI General Law Section 42-46-5, paren A, paren 2, and paren 4. In re K. Joseph Chikarchi, complaint number 2026-1, pursuant to RI General Law Section 42-46-5, paren A, paren 2, paren 4. And review of proposed decision and order in re James E. Thorson, complaint number 2023-7, pursuant to RI General Law Section 42-46-5A 2, 4, and then a motion to return to open session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Callahan. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Peterson. Roll call vote, Commissioner Susie.
Aye.
Commissioner Peterson.
Aye.
Mr. Browner.
Aye.
Mr. Callahan.
Aye.
Mr. Centerini.
all right.
Mr. Rabideau.
Aye.
Mr. Ritchie.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Will now go into executive session.
Jack, please.
Yeah, take a break.
Yes. Oh, yes, please. We'll take a short break.